talk to him. Hello. Okay. Oh, come on, Liz. I know you're not getting the cold. It's the holiday season. Touche, touche. Nothing wrong with that.
Richard, you guys have had some injuries this year, but still lead the NFL, and I think fewest points allowed going here down the stretch. Just what have you learned about this group and the depth and some of the backups who have come in?
It's always next man up mentality. Guys have done a great job stepping in when they've been needed. Did a great job playing. We've been shorthanded, but guys still come up and answer the call. So, you just got to appreciate everybody, and everybody has a role, and everybody plays their role well. Nico, Steve, Jay Lane, DeMontre Moore, John Jenkins just came in, and everybody's come in and done their part.
I remember about that playoff game in Charlotte in January. How might it apply this week?
I don't know. Not much. I mean, don't make mistakes. Guys got to play a better game. Don't turn the ball over in your own red zone. Things like that, I guess.
How different did that feel Sunday without Earl behind you?
Felt pretty much the same. It was a pretty standard game. Just didn't execute early and then executed later, and it worked out.
How did you guys miss him, either schematically or on the field, how performance-wise?
Well, Steve did a good job. So, he did what he was supposed to do. So it wasn't like any glaring holes anywhere. So, I'm sure we'll be happy to have him back this week. But Steve did a good job.
Richard, you guys held Tampa off the board for the final 48 minutes, whatever it was, on Sunday. When the offense is struggling like they were in that game, do you change the way at all you play, maybe take more shots, more risks? I mean, does your mindset change at all out there when the offense is having a tough day?
No, we just kind of try to stay disciplined, play good disciplined football, because there's nothing you can do. You dig yourself in a bigger hole, you take a risk or try to jump something, and you get beat. Then you're down more than you were before. So we just play standard disciplined football. Try to take the football, take our ops when they're there.
Going back to the touchdown fade that Evans had, what in your view was beyond the normal hand fighting that you thought he committed a violation?
Well, I thought he grabbed me by the collar of my pad. So, but talked to the refs. They said next time they'll call it. But I guess this was the next time.
What is the process like of kind of feeling out what the refs are going to allow on a given day?
There is no process. I mean, that everything is subjective. So, on any given day, maybe he had his coffee this morning, maybe he'll call this. Maybe he didn't have his coffee, his wife didn't give him any last night, then maybe he called something else. It's human error out there. So at the end of the day, that's all you're playing with is human error. So it depends on what they think they saw, what they're feeling that day, things like that. It's not any standard for. I mean, you just take the catch, for example. Jordy Nelson held the ball for a split second, and they gave him a touchdown. And other people have put 2 feet down, took extra steps, and then, the ball gets knocked out. It's not a fumble. It's an incomplete pass because they didn't have possession. So it just depends on which ref and how they're feeling that day.
What was the conversation you had with the official regarding the holding penalty that eventually became a safety?
I just asked him what could we do, and he said we could challenge it. He said you can't challenge a penalty, but you can challenge a spot on the field that it happened. So once he said that, then I just ran and made sure Pete knew, because I don't think Pete knew. Pete didn't think you could challenge it, and then Pete threw the flag.
Did you mention that it was a scoring play that would be reviewable?
I didn't, but that's not the kind of stuff they do. Because it wasn't a scoring play until we made it a scoring play. Because it wasn't a safety until we suggested it was a safety. It's not like they called it a safety, and then because then it would be a reviewable scoring play. They didn't call it a safety, so it's not reviewable.
Richard, did they tell you, or how do you find out who the officiating crew is? Is that something you guys look at? Because each crew's different, right?
Yeah, they tell us. They tell us pretty early in the week who the crew is, but they could call the least penalties in the league and then call you for 10 in a game, 15 in a game. Or they can call the most in the league and, call us for 2. So, every crew is different, especially when dealing with us.
So when Pete said, this is a crew that will, quote, let guys play on offense, did you buy that? Or do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you buy it to some extent, but then, you still get called. I mean, if you hold somebody, you grab somebody, they're still going to call holding, they're still going to call pass interference. And that's what they tell you, and then they don't. But you don't worry about it. I mean, it is what it is. Next play.
Pete was talking about consistency. For players, how hard, or maybe it's not, is it to just kind of do things the same, be the same week in, week out, year in, year out, so you don't have the peaks and valleys?
You do it the best you can. I mean, it's doable. But everything is human nature. It's human nature to fall in peaks and valleys. So everybody does their best to battle a lot of it. But everybody, as long as you focus on your job and what you've been doing great for so long, the reason they brought you here, you'll be fine.
What has allowed this team to be better at it than most?
Because they don't ask you to be somebody you're not. They're not super hard on you for no reason. They're not cussing you out for no reason. They're not finding you for no reason. They're not, your head coach isn't sitting there, acting like this is a military academy. Pete treats this like it's a game. It's a fun game, and I don't think everybody else does.
NFL rulebook isn't exactly thin, but you seem to know it better than a lot of people do. How much time do you spend just studying every little thing?
A decent amount. I know the ins and outs of it. I'm sure there are some things that are small print that I haven't read, but it's important to know it, so you know it applies, you know what you can and can't do out there. So many nuanced rules that the refs don't even know how time, because most of the refs on that play didn't know we challenged the play. The only one who knew was the white hat, and that's kind of ridiculous, and you deal with that on a week in, week out basis, and they're like, just call New York. But what if you got 5 games going on, 5 games calling New York at the same time? It doesn't make sense. So you can simplify that, but of course they won't. Because like I said before, you got people who've never played the game writing rules for a game they've never played, and they have no idea how it works.
So on that play, like in real time, as you were playing the play, you saw where the penalty looked like it occurred?
Well, I saw it on the replay. I didn't see it in real time because I was covering. I was on the other side of the field, But yeah, once we looked up, and then he threw the flag. Where they throw the flag is the spot of the foul. So he threw the flag in the end zone. So that's we kind of were like, that's the spot of the foul. You guys make sure anytime you see a ref go pick his flag up and toss it a little further, it's because he's getting it to the spot of the foul. So they throw the flag at the spot of the foul. So the spot of the foul was in the end zone. So I think he knew he kind of messed it up initially, and he wanted to get it right.
Were the refs honest in that they didn't know whether it was reviewable, or were they saying, no, it's not reviewable?
Yeah, well, he said it's not reviewable. Well, the other refs that we were talking to, they were like, yeah, I don't think this is reviewable. I think they're going to send him back. I was like, well, he just told me it was, so I told you guys what he told me, so I hope he gives us a break on this one if it's not, because he told me it was.
That was the side judge or the?
That was the head judge, head linesman.
You guys have been so good through the years at just playing hard every week, all the time. Did you think that the first couple of series defensively that maybe you guys were flat? If so, do you attribute that to anything, or if not?
No, I think they just executed. They ran some new plays we hadn't seen. We didn't come out flat. When you lead the league in scoring for as long as we do, and still leading the league in scoring, you'd eventually think we'd get some credit for that, because that's what the game's about. You don't win unless you score more points than the other team. And at the end of the day, we're not going to win a game scoring 5 points. You're not going to beat anybody. So we felt like we played good enough to win that game, and we got to find a way to get the ball more or score more. But at the end of the day, 14 points, it is what it is.
Do you feel like you're scrutinized more if someone scores on you or gets open against you just because of your reputation?
I don't know, probably. When you're at the top, they're always trying to pull you somewhere else. But probably, people need somebody to root against. So, I guess they scrutinize me more, but I don't worry about it. I got more picks than anybody playing this game right now since I've been in this game. So.
Having said that, when there is a touchdown, obviously you didn't agree with the call and held him to 14 points, not really on the defense. But do plays like that eat at you after the game when it's close?
No. I don't feel any type of way about them. You look at them, you see what you could have done better, and you kind of move on. It's the same as any other week.
Speaking of being scrutinized, a lot of Seahawks fans weren't happy last year after the game when Cam Newton grabbed a 12's flag, crumpled it up, and threw it away. I know you've always defended his celebrations during games, but did he cross the line when he did that after the game last year?
Yeah, he probably did, and, I guess karma gets you. Doesn't look like you're going to be in the playoffs this year.
been pretty big on trying to get KJ Wright to the Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah.
What about him makes him so good at what he does?
Just what you just said earlier, you asked a question about consistency and robotic consistency, and that's what he has. You know, he has consistency week in, week out, play in, play out, year in, year out. But the way they grade things these days, you know, they make a bunch of guys who play basically DN, and they get a ton of sacks. They count them as outside linebackers, and he plays a real outside linebacker. You know, behind the ball, you know, read the play. So he's not going to have 10, 15 sacks. He's going to have a ton of tackles. He's going to have a ton of pass breakups, ton of TFLs and things like that. But, you know, even though he's playing at a Pro Bowl level, he's not going to get the recognition he deserves, which is unfortunate.
What would be a better way to categorize linebacker? I mean, for Pro Bowl voting, all pro voting, I think there's.
I guess you'd have to make 4-3 linebackers, outside linebackers, and 3-4 outside linebackers, two different things, because there's two different ways they play in the scheme. You know, 3-4 linebackers play at the line of scrimmage all day and rush the passer more times than not. 4-3 linebackers are asked more to be in coverage and drop back.
What do you remember of Kelvin Benjamin from 2 years ago, and what do you see from him now?
He's a big dude. They target him a lot, so he'll get his chance at the ball. He uses his body well. Runs pretty decent routes. Pretty much same thing you're seeing now. You know, he's going up for contested balls. He's fighting. He's battling.
What do you think about where the team is now, big picture of the season, where your understanding is, those kind of things?
I think we're fine. I think we're right where we need to be. You win our games, and we'll be exactly where we need to be. It's all about winning games down the stretch, and at any point, regardless of your record, that's what it's about.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.